Hello, it's Cisvolk. Time to enjoy card making with me. I have lots of inspiration for you today to use patterned paper on your cards. The last few days I created a bunch of cards using the patterned paper from this 6x6 paper pack. I chose this Merry Christmas paper because I needed some Christmas cards, of course, and I also really like the paper. I have lots of inspiration for you to use patterned paper, even if it's a little too busy or just a little too boring. You can recreate my cards with any kind of patterned paper. And you will see that you can combine many products you probably already have in your home with patterned paper to make the most surprising combinations for your homemade cards. I keep my loose sheets of paper in these self-laminated folders. I always put leftover paper back in them as well. Just such a small scrap of paper can inspire me for a whole new card, and I always enjoy doing that so much. You can see that even after making 11 cards, I still have a lot of paper left over. I could definitely make 11 more. I'm going to take you through making fun and fairly easy cards with this paper or any other patterned paper you have left over at home. As I said, I make the laminated folders myself. I cut out the AlINACRAFT logo, which is on the original packaging, and laminated it with it. If you are interested in how to make such a laminated folder, there's the link for you in the description box below and here in the top right corner. Here you can see my stack of Christmas cards and of course the envelopes that go with them. I'm going to show them all. The first card I show you is the easiest to make. When the paper is quite busy and as pretty as this one, you don't want to do too much with it. Just cut the paper a little smaller than the size of the card. That leaves a nice wide border of a few millimeters. All my cards are 10.5 by 14.8 centimeters, half an A4 sheet. I used the die, which is this nesting scalloped rectangle die from AlINACRAFT. I have die cut this size out of white paper. And I chose white because the patterned paper also has a basic white background. On the scalloped rectangle, I stuck the sentiment die Merry Christmas. Those are these dies. I showed them in an earlier video. You have believe, hope, faith, peace, Merry Christmas and joy. Here you see the double-sided A4 tape from AlINACRAFT. It is ideal to work with. Fragile text stamps you can stick on very nicely without missing if you use this double-sided tape before you begin die cutting. Especially if you use smooth gold or silver cardstock. You can add a little extra sparkle to your card by adding dewdrops. I use these transparent acrylic gems. You can also use glossy accents or crystal drops for this. But these acrylic gems are really quick to stick on and nice and glossy, solid and convex. They come in a jar with 4 different sizes. My jar is already going pretty fast. If you spread them evenly over the card and don't stick too much on, they are like real dewdrops. And on the envelope, you just stick the leftover paper from the sheet. I have another example for you with a piece of busy patterned paper. I didn't cut the paper straight to size myself, as with the previous card, but I die cut it with this scalloped rectangle die before I glued it on. It was this most outer shape. You can then use the leftover scraps exactly as a border on the envelope. This way you immediately have a nice decorated envelope. To break the busy picture, you can cut a frame by die cutting 2 scalloped rectangles at the same time and then gluing this frame on at an angle. The text will then fit on a smaller rectangle in the middle. This one you then stick straight onto the card. The joy text is again from the same sentiment die set and the Merry Christmas stamp is from the happy stamps with banner dies. That's a full stamp sheet with all kinds of different text that you stamp all at once. Here you see the Merry Christmas. And then you will die cut the whole sheet, so you have a supply of texts. And then you make a whole set of cards even faster with a stack of pattern paper. Although I cut this one out by hand. All the products I link in the description below the video, by the way, so you can easily find them in the store should you want to check them out. On this card I also glued some acrylic gems. I hope you can see the color well. There are golden gems. These have a larger size than the transparent gems. I thought this color went nicely with the red and black, and the color is also repeated in the text Joy. In this paper pack there is also a nice plate pattern. I very simply cut it a little smaller than the size of my card. That way you get the idea that there is a border around it. On top of the stripes I glued cute colored acrylic gems, which are these. They are all the same size. Look what nice shiny pearl looking colors. In the middle you can stamp a nice big text on white paper. In this case I stamped with embossing ink and heat embossed with gold embossing powder from AlINACRAFT. I say white paper because the card base and background of the pattern paper is white. Should this be different, then adjust the color accordingly. Here I have the Holly Jolly Christmas stamp. I also used this stamp in a previous video with the mandala stencils, and you will see them more often in this video as well. Also on this envelope I glued a leftover strip. It extends from top to bottom of the envelope, and only on the side I left a small edge. You can also stamp such a large stick stamp directly on pattern paper. That's what I did with the following card. On this lighter piece of paper, which I really like by the way, see, I stamped directly on the pattern paper and heat embossed it using gold embossing powder. I will quickly grab some colors to show you. Bronze, red, gold, dark blue, silver, transparent, light blue and white, and pink and black and another white. By now I have quite a collection of powders from Alina and I love using them, especially for making beautiful shimmer and for embossing text on a card. It's very fine embossing powder. So for this text I used this gold one and with it gold paper. But I could have also taken silver with silver paper or red. I thought the gold went best with the brown ornaments on the paper. The scalloped frame I die cut again from these scalloped nesting dies. But here I cut out the center by hand. When you use the die it comes out as a hole and I wanted the effect of a picture frame. And it's that easy. Again, stick a straight residual strip on the envelope. It's super cute and super fast too for a Christmas card. See how fun the next card is? And again, so easy to do. A single piece of pattern paper in one shade, cut 1 centimeter smaller than the card, leaving half a centimeter of space on all sides. And on that I stuck all the stamps. You could even use real old stamps if you have them. From Alina I got these dies. They come in a pack of 2. And with that you make a whole stamp sheet. How fun is that? I used this size with 6 stamps on it. You'll die cut it out of white paper and then you'll get this. I will quickly show you. This is also where I always keep the scraps, behind the dies in the laminated folder. So this is what it will look like after die cutting, and look how satisfying it is when you start tearing this. You can also leave the edge on, if you like. From pattern paper you then cut or trim rectangles and glue them on, leaving a small white edge of course, and then you have a real stamp. If you stick one of these stamps on crooked, it is not noticeable that it is crooked. Nice and easy, and it also looks very cheerful. It is also nice to add some acrylic gems. I took the gold one this time and I stamped and heat embossed also with gold embossing powder. Here is the stamp I used. Gold embossing powder with gold gems, that is. And look how cute that matching envelope turned out. Even if an image is half cut off, it is still fine to use. You see, a waste to throw away such a nice piece of paper, right? Here's another card with one of those fun papers. This time I die cutted the stamp die directly from the pattern paper, just nicely slanted. And now, by putting a very thin black sheet of paper underneath that is only a few millimeters larger, it pops out and you can see the holes really well. You will die cut it in no time and you don't have to check if it's straight. I added a few colored gems. I stuck a nice red one on Rudolph's nose, of course, but maybe you have something laying around at home that goes nicely with it too. The text is also on the stamp the Holly Jolly is on. Here it says Happy Holidays, a nice text. I stamped it with black ink and then heat embossed it with transparent embossing powder. I find it helpful to write a T on the jar so I don't confuse it with the white powder, which I wrote the W on. If you hold them side by side, you can see the difference. It can go wrong sometimes if you have them separate. So maybe it's a tip for you to write on it too. For the envelope I did the same thing. The remaining strip of the sheet that was left over, I cut it diagonally and glued it with a slightly larger thin strip of black paper underneath onto the envelope. For my next card I used these long wavy dies. You can make cute clouds, waves or mountains with these. And I used them to make this Christmas card. Again with one sheet of paper as a background. I die cutted the paper once and then separated the piece. Stuck one at the top of the card and one at the bottom, though leaving a white border on all sides. Then I drew narrow dashes with a pencil. You can see the same here on the envelope. With a pencil I drew little dashes a little distance from the wavy paper edge to give it a little depth. You can also do this with a fine liner. But I find the pencil a little less harsh in color and also handy to be able to erase should you possibly slip or have drawn a dash too big. Well, on the card I have put two die-cutted rectangles in the middle, which are die-cutted with these dies from Alina. You can also see all the scraps or die cuts that I made too much. I keep them in the folder. These dies imprint dashes that match the dashes I drew. I will die cut one from pattern paper and one from white paper as a border. The Santa image is from this sheet, but you can die cut any cute image from pattern paper and stick it in the middle as an eye catcher. And again, finish it with colored gems or other embellishments or sequins to your liking. The Happy Holidays comes again from this stamp. And then another card is ready. This card takes a little more work to make, but on the other hand is very pretty, I think. Again I cutted hills with the wave border dies. I first embellished the middle piece of paper with a stencil. And that is this stencil from the A04 set from AlINACRAFT. I smeared Nuvo glimmer paste moonstone over that and die cut it when it was dry. I also smeared the glimmer paste on a plain piece of paper without the stencil to use for die cutting the snowflakes. The snowflakes are from an older collection, hence the older packaging, but these are timeless and I'm sure I'll be using them more often. For this card I only used this one die and cut it out 4 times. You can also see that I cut one and glued both parts to the edge. So on the card you first glue the pattern paper, which you cut a little smaller than the card, then the wavy border with the crafted stencil, and then a plain piece with the dies glued on top. In case you are looking for a link of one of the products, you will find it in the description below my video. Finally, a text, the Merry Christmas, and I used the text dies again for that, this time from red paper with double-sided tape behind it. And that is this double-sided tape, which I also used for the snowflakes, by the way. I glued the text nicely into the wave. I also made the text nice and shiny with Nuvo aqua shimmer to make it stand out nicely with the rest of the glitter. For this card I also cut a strip of paper in half again with the wave border dies. This time I cut it twice so I could use the middle piece on the envelope. You only need one strip because you slide the two pieces a bit apart. The patterned paper is glued directly to the card, and over that at the bottom of the card I glued a new piece of white paper which I die cut separately with a different wave die. I think this is such a cute text, "Let it snow somewhere else." I think that one is so funny. It is in this stamp set. Let it snow somewhere else. I stamped this one with black ink and then heat embossed it with transparent embossing powder, which I mixed with some glitter. If you want to know more about this, I recommend you to watch my video from last year. Here I explain how to make your own glitter embossing powder and give examples for fun New Year's cards. Here I have the glitter. The jar on the right contains embossing powder, the one on the left contains glitter. I hope you can see it in the video, but so there are glitters on the text. And also on the snowflakes. I'll explain that in a moment. Here at the top right, you will see an eye. Clicking on that will take you quickly to other videos of mine. I will also put a link at the bottom of the description for you, then you can watch this video to the end first. I used the same dies on this card, but this time I didn't work with Nuvo glimmer paste, but with regular glitter, the same ones I used to mix with the embossing powder. If you stick double-sided tape on two sides of a sheet of white paper and then pull away the protective layer from one side, you can cover this sticky layer with glitter. You spread the glitter over the double-sided tape and it sticks super well. This is how you make your own glitter paper. I saved a leftover piece here on purpose to show you. The glitter sticks really well. This is what is left after die cutting a snowflake. The piece I still have here is the negative, and also you can still use that on your cards or envelopes. You see the pieces. They look just like snowflakes too. Not 1 centimeter wasted for me. So this is the die cut and this the negative that will come out of those openings. So actually I only had to cut out 5 snowflakes for the card and 1 for the envelope, and all the other pieces are from the rest pieces that were left over after die cutting. And because it's double-sided tape, you don't have to use glue. It is a lot of fun to do. So instead of expensive sticky pastes that have to dry and require you to clean stencils and spatulas, this is a fun alternative. A paste you spread on and sticks by itself. The glitters you have to glue with glue or stick with double-sided tape like here. In an old video from last year you can see how I do this. I also put a link of this in the description. As an extra I also glued some water drop gems on top. Regularly spread on top of some dots from the patterned paper. I will continue briefly with the same products for a new card. When you have taken your supplies out and on your desk, you better make more than one card in my opinion. So another piece of white paper where I used the wave border dies for a nice pile of snow. The same stars I die cut from gold paper this time. The Let It Snow Somewhere Else I stamped this time with embossing ink and heat embossed with gold embossing powder. With regular glue I made dashes and overlaid them with white glitter. See here also little dots of glue I poured over with glitter, and now they look like little snowflakes. You have to let those dry for a while, but they will be dry in a few hours. Here for the envelope I glued a little leftover homemade glitter paper, and you can see how well the glitter sticks. It doesn't come off. Always look at the color of the patterned paper and the colored text or embellishments to match. Here I left it simple white and gold. Adding more colors would make the card too busy. To make nice cards with patterned paper, I recommend you to see if you can find simple basic shapes among your stuff. Essential dies I find are Kilt dies from AlINACRAFT. This is one of my frequently used AlINACRAFT dies, and you can tell I love using them. Don't mind the smeared ink. I should have used a waterproof marker. As many shapes as you see here are in a set. A total of 34 pieces. 6 squares, 8 triangles, 4 diamonds, 4 leaves, 4 hexagons and 8 rectangle strips. For a very easy card you can use one shape and stick it all over. To make it easy for myself, I cut the shapes loose with pliers and taped them together with tape so I could die cut them easily. Again, also for this card, some acrylic drop gems on top. For this card, 1 water drop gem on each square. Here you see the text heat embossed with bronze colored embossing powder. Really a very pretty color. And that's this Merry Christmas stamp. Then finally I have a little sample with these essential Kilt dies. Here you can see that I used several pattern papers instead of one sheet for a card. The solid colors you will die cut with the largest size and the pattern papers you will die cut with the smallest size. I didn't die cut the small shapes exactly in the middle. It's nice when they fall a little over the edge. So you see that you need very little paper for such a card. And you can go in many directions. Again, some fun colored gems added and a nice text stamp in the opening. Let me briefly show you which one I used. And that is this one. But of course you can use any stamp that fits it. Now here's another look at all the Christmas cards I made so far using the Merry Christmas 6x6 paper pad from AlINACRAFT store. Now you can vary as much as you want. You can use different pattern paper, you can use different dies, different texts or different gems or sequins. If you want, you can also use these examples for birthday cards or Valentine's Day cards or any other occasion. Think of it as kind of sketch and fill it in to your own taste. I hope I gave you some inspiration. I would love it if you let me know in the comments below the video. In case you are still looking for some products or maybe looking for crafty gifts, all the links can be found below or next to this video if you click on the word more in the grey part of the description box. For you there's no difference in the amount you pay, whether you use my link or browse directly to the store yourself. But you do help me out and that's super nice, because then I can keep making more videos for you. I'm curious which card you like the most and which one you would like to be the first to make. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel Cisvolk, so you can watch more of my videos the next time you feel like card making with me. I wish you a very Merry Christmas. See you next time. Bye bye.